Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus. I'm here with a live Q&A. So if you're in the live chat, make sure you can let me know if you can hear me okay. So this is our weekly Q&A. So our Patreon and our YouTube channel members have been able to submit questions in advance. They're also able to join in live on the live chat. So this is open for all members. You can become a member, help support the channel. You could also use the super chat function as well, all of which helps fund the YouTube channel, fund the website, etc. And it really does make a massive difference. So we're not completely reliant on advertising. So Matt and Kelly said they can hear me. So big hello to you guys. We've also got Baba Trolling and Dan in there as well. So we've got lots of questions and stuff as per usual this week. So plan is we'll be doing a few of the pre-done questions. We'll be jumping in and out of live questions. Let me know your thoughts as well while we're going along. Keep sending in your questions. Aim to be about 45 minutes. We might go a little bit longer if there's some more questions, but that's generally the time zone. So feel free to pop in your questions and stuff. So as a few more people come in, so if you haven't already done so, make sure you do subscribe here on the channel. Make sure as well you check us out over at What's on Disney Plus, bookmark favorite, find us on Facebook and Twitter. So let's jump into it. So I'll just start off with the one at the top there. So Daniel asks, if Disney is to sell Hulu to focus on its core brands and franchises, what would that have any effect on Disney Plus getting the star equivalent general entertainment section in the United States? So there's been a lot of talk about the future of Hulu. Now, up to recently, I think we all pretty much assumed that Hulu was going to get brought out next year when Disney can activate the clause in the contract where they can force Comcast to sell its 33%, or Comcast can force Disney to sell out, to basically buy them out. A minimum of $27 billion is the valuation of Hulu, of which obviously that means a third of that. So around about saying $8 to $9 billion is what Disney will have to pay out at a minimum. But it's going to have to get independently verified what the price and the value is, and then it will go from there based on a market value. I think Citibank recently put it up between like 19 and 25 or something billion, a bit less than what it is, but obviously the contract states that they would still get that amount of money. The Comcast CEO has talked about the idea that, he thinks they're just going to get sent a big check, but there's also a lot of questions as well about whether or not Comcast wants to buy Hulu to kind of really supercharge Peacock. It would also really help Disney get rid of some of its debt because it owed a lot after buying 20th Century Studios. Does it need Hulu? And this is always a bit of a thing because a lot of people obviously in the United States are used to having Disney Plus the way it is, and it's kind of very much kind of based on a very what you're used to. So I'm going to bring up my Disney Plus here in the UK. So I'm just going to bring this one up. I'm going to get rid of the question here. So this is what Disney Plus looks like outside of the United States and Latin America. So this is pretty much the majority of the world. Their Disney Plus looks like this. And it has been like this here in the UK for over 2 years. And every country that it's pretty much launched in has it. The only places it doesn't have it is Latin America, where it has Star Plus, which is a separate streaming service, which is kind of like a hybrid between ESPN Plus and Star Plus. But everywhere else, we have this Star tab. So this is what the Disney Plus homepage looks like. It has all the same things that you will find in the United States, but it also has a lot of what a lot of people refer to as like Hulu originals, but we call them Star originals over here. So I go into the Star tab. Here you can see we've got a lot of new stuff. We've got like the new Empire of Light film recently added here in the UK. We know Titanic got re-added back in. We got Abbott Elementary as an original. So if I go into the originals tab here, you can see it's all like intermixed. Some people kind of think of Star as almost like a separate little thing, but no, it's all fully integrated. So here's all the originals. So you've got all the series like Willow and The Proud Family interconnected, all with like The Mandalorian alongside Abbott Elementary. There's no difference for us. If you go into like a child's profile, the amount of availability will change depending on your setting. So you're not going to obviously see stuff like Pam and Tommy or Welcome to Chippendales in here if you are in. So this is very much a case of the idea of putting a lot of this content onto Disney Plus in the US. It's not so much a case of it being a big pie in the sky idea, some blue sky thinking. Disney's already done this in pretty much every country already. So therefore, and it's been running for a couple of years, it's massively successful. So the idea that they, if you'd said this like before Star launched, yeah, you might be going, oh, I don't think they're going to do it. They might launch Hulu internationally. But the simple thing is, they've already done it, and they've already proven that there's not a lot of a lot of backlash. People have kind of got used to it because it's been like this for like 2 years. And if you want to change your settings, you can move it around and stuff. But there's just generally, here we go, in the movie section, it's all just interconnected. There's no difference. This is just how Disney Plus is. And ultimately, I would love for American and Latin American subscribers to have the same Disney Plus that we do. So the idea is, obviously, some people have been saying, like, well, what could happen with sort of happen? And the thing is, there are so many different ways it could go. There are so many different ways that Disney could change and could shift. And at the minute, we are all just guessing. And that is the truth, and this is what I'm saying now are my guesses of what could happen. So first off, Disney could sell Hulu off. And if they were to sell Hulu off, I imagine a lot of the Hulu originals that are not made by Disney, ones like by American High, like The Great, also like Handmaid's Tale, things like that, would go with it. And I think that would be, and all the Fox shows that are made by Fox, like the Masked Singer and the Gordon Ramsay cooking show, all the new stuff that's on the Fox entertainment side would probably all stay with Hulu. And I would imagine a lot of the Disney-owned stuff made by 20th Century Studios, FX, etc., would probably stay there temporarily until such time that they get removed over time. I can't imagine it's just going to be a straight up, right, they're all going tomorrow. I would imagine whoever buys it would want a little bit of leeway to kind of ease them off. They might even do a deal where, okay, you get this stuff for 2 to 3 years of what we've given you, non-exclusive, and as a kind of a way of trying to get some more value from Hulu. That could be another way. Or they could just pull all their stuff. I think we are going to end up seeing an expansion of tabs around the world with 20th Century Studios as a hub. And I suspect we might see like Searchlight, maybe FX. I'm not sure about ABC because I think they're going to do something with ABC and 20th Television. I think that's going to be consolidated a bit. Maybe something for like the Octave Collective, and kind of have core brands as hubs. And they are going to start introducing stuff. Now, I do think there is a very strong possibility that maybe in America, they might take some shows like Welcome to Chippendales and Pam and Tommy, etc. I could see them leasing them out to like Netflix or Hulu or something like that for maybe just to take off some of the instant backlash. Maybe some of the shows and films that they maybe don't necessarily want on there to get connected with Disney. They might take a little bit of a softly approach. That's just my personal guess. I don't know if they will do that, but I can imagine maybe with something like those shows, they might be like, you know what, it's just not worth the effort. We're going to put this on another platform and just release it out. I could see that happening very much. So there's always an issue. I think we could end up seeing a Star Hub in the United States because they can put all the international originals in there and anything that's like licensed, and then kind of as a catch-all tab. I think we could end up seeing it, but not in the same way that we're seeing it now. And I think internationally, we're going to end up with the hubs the same way. I think that is how it's going to run, but I don't necessarily know. Bob Iger has said, they're going to be cutting back on the amount of general entertainment stuff. If they were they didn't buy 20th Century, this whole thing of like cutting back on general entertainment doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to completely bail on it. I mean, I think there's some kind of a lot of people worried about the fact that they're just going to go back to having Disney Plus from 3 years ago. Disney Plus does need some general entertainment content. It does need more stuff. So I definitely see that. So let's see here. Let's see what we've got here. And definitely, as Kelly says, don't forget to hit that like button for the algorithms. Definitely, if you watch our videos, whenever you watch one of our videos, if you could just give it a thumbs up, that would be amazing. It really does help. Just know that you're watching it and all the rest of it, and just keeps the videos coming in. So Babatronic says, I don't think Star is a good name for a hub. I think they should name it to FX. I see where you're going from, and I think they need more than just a Star hub. I think an FX hub would make a lot of sense. I think it would make sense as well from the idea of branding. If you put that FX logo on everything, it kind of distinguishes it away from like Disney and National Geographic, etc. Kelly says, to answer the question of the headline, I do believe the Star Hub will come to the US, but not in the way that people think. I think there will be an expansion of hubs like 20th Century Searchlight and Star. will be one of those hubs showcasing content from other countries. As for Hulu, all depending on the deal going forward. So pretty much what I said there. Matt says, I don't think Star is a good hub in the US to bring 20th century ABC and ESPN hubs. I think most of us would agree now that it would make more sense to have like a 20th century studios hub and a ABC and an FX hub. I am thinking now we are probably not going to end up with an ESPN hub unless it literally goes into ESPN Plus. I think we're going to see a bit of a shift around the idea of what they're doing with that. So that's good. Ricardo says, hi Roger, I didn't think about it, but Twitter, as Fred said, it'll be worrying if actually gets put on sale. That could make Disney not want to invest in adult content anymore. So Bob Iger has already said that they're going to be making less. They need to make $3 billion worth of cost cutting, and they want to be more sort of selective, have more curation over what they are creating. Now, the way I look at this right now is, if you look at Disney as a whole, right, they're creating shows for the general entertainment for ABC, Freeform, FX, Octave Collective, National Geographic, ABC, Disney Plus, Hulu. So they're making all this content for all of these different platforms. Do they need as many shows as that? If you've got like Grey's Anatomy, Alaska Daily, and Abbott Elementary, and you've got Simpsons and Family Guy, and you've got American Dad, or you've got things like, I don't know, let's say what's coming out. We've got like How I Met Your Father dropping, the Wu-Tang Clan show dropping. We're getting the international version. How much is enough? How much is enough content a week that they need to bring out? Because at the minute they're trying to keep all these different platforms going. But when you actually put it all together, like we do here in the UK, you actually see like going, it's like some Wednesdays here in the UK, you're getting like 10 to 12 to 15 different shows a week. Is that enough? Do they need maybe 6? Do they need 5? There's lots of different options that they could do. And I think by consolidating, maybe FX pick, some solid things, and maybe like the ABC platform picks a few things. I think we're going to see some less Hulu originals being made. I do think we're going to see that. But yeah, I think they are going to invest. They're just not going to be investing maybe as much as they have been. Because if you actually look at what they're putting out across all of the different platforms, because I think that's the trouble sometimes with Disney, is people don't necessarily put 2 and 2 together. Even like at the award ceremonies, they all get listed under different divisions. They are putting out a lot of stuff. Haley said, speaking of Hulu, in Japan, it's owned and operated by Nippon TV, while Disney and Comcast are silent partners where they license some shows. Yeah, I don't think they license much anymore. I think most of the stuff goes straight to Disney Plus now. BK Dan says, Roger, if Disney does sell Hulu but buys out the Comcast share, do you think Hulu will go for WWE? I do think I think if Disney are going to go after the WWE, they're in a bit of a tight situation. They're trying to save money, and I think it would be a really good buy for the ESPN network, but I don't know if right now, Bob's trying to fix the money, trying to cut costs. It's very tricky to turn around and go, well, we want to save $5 billion to keep, to sort this out, and we've got to spend $9 billion to buy out Comcast. Oh, WWE is like $6 billion. That's a lot of money extra. While I would like it, if someone's going to buy WWE, I'd rather it be Disney. That's just my own personal preference. So Suna says, if Hulu is sold by Comcast in January 24, are they going to add Star to Disney Plus in the US? I think we would see so. The difference is as well, even if Disney does reenact the deal for Hulu in January, remember it might take 3 to 6 to 9 months to a year, or maybe even longer to go through. So it doesn't necessarily mean like the 2nd of January, everything's sorted. It might take a while. Apparently, Goldman Sachs have been brought in by Disney to negotiate a sale and to try and get things. So I think there's stuff going on, but I definitely feel like there's going to be an issue on that one there. Julian says, would they add a Hulu hub onto Disney Plus? I think if they were to merge the 2 platforms together, then the Hulu hub might make a little bit more sense. I don't think they will do. I don't think necessarily they would. Even if Disney did buy Hulu, I could see Hulu being like live TV, maybe like a fast platform where they keep all the fast stuff on there. Maybe then they could launch that internationally as the fast service. But does Disney? I don't know. I don't know if Disney needs to go down the fast service or not. It's a growing industry, but at the same time, how much of that is going to work? I think people are going to get. It's going to be very, very tricky of how that all works. Seatan says if Disney Plus finally gets a Star Hub, perhaps it will rename itself to Disney Star globally. Nah. No, there's the trouble. The Star brand basically was brought in by Disney as a way of trying to keep the Disney away from the general entertainment. They're basically so protective of the Disney brand that they use the Star logo. Why I say no is because pretty much in most countries, like here in the UK now, they don't use the term Star for advertising. When they put out like when there's a trailer for like Welcome to Chippendales, it just says available on Disney Plus. There's when the bus goes by with the Welcome to Chippendales logo and all the signs and stuff like that, it just says they've drops. I think in Canada and Australia they're still using it, but here in the UK they have completely abandoned using the Star brand because it just confused people because people thought it was a paid add-on. People weren't sure if they had it. So most of the advertising now literally just says Disney Plus. They've kind of got rid of all of that. Seatan says it's difficult. Oh, sorry, Kaylee said it's difficult to rebrand since Disney Star is the official name of the Indian subsidiary of Disney. There's that issue. Matt says, I think there'll be some new collections. Incredible. I think that we probably are going to see some questions. And Ricardo says, Hulu in Japan is not related to in the US. Yeah, no, it's definitely not. Dana says, I think we'll know about before summer about Hulu. Like you said, we need to, we will see something in a few months. I think I think there's a lot of negotiations going on right now to sort this out. Disney would probably, if they are going to put it up for sale, it makes sense now to start getting all that prepared. Yeah, I do not think that Bob Iger putting it out there that that it might be up for sale, that anything's on the table. It's playing his hand. He's trying to drum up interest in it, trying to work out what they could do with it. Ultimately, and this is the key thing, for me being an international subscriber to Disney Plus, I've got all the stuff in there that I've already got for Hulu, so I don't see any value for me for Hulu in terms of what they can't do with Disney Plus because they've already done it. This is the advantage of the fact that they've already done this everywhere else. So they've already experimented, they've already been doing the testing, and they can see what's happening. They wouldn't have launched, when they launch Disney Plus in new countries, they do it with Star included as standard. They've not done it anywhere else without it. And I think in Turkey they had to rename it because they couldn't use the Star branding. They don't need it. And I think the live TV zone of like television is going to just decrease year on year. I don't think that's going to get any more. I think the price of it, I think with what's going on with sports right now is all over the place. I think the sports are really going to change how US television works because it doesn't work like that. Like here in the UK, we'd have a very different system. We don't have like local things like that can affect any. You don't get forced to subscribe to Sky Sports if you get Sky. You option in, but in the US it's very, very different. Right, so I'm going to just do a few other questions before I jump back into the live ones because that was only question 1 and we're 20 minutes in. That was good. Mamo says, if Disney sell Hulu, do you think they will put a clause on the deal that content that is made by Disney will be shared between Hulu and Disney Plus for a limited time? Yes, I do. Babak says, why does Disney Plus still release content at midnight instead of at a more reasonable hour like 7 p.m., 8 p.m., or 9 p.m.? And why do they still do next day drops instead of at the same time? Right. So your question about do they drop them at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m.? Well, they do, just in Australia. It's just it's kind of funny. I think with the Mandalorian coming up, a lot of people are back into this idea of like, why is it on like so early? The big thing really is the server load, because if you've got like it going up at like say 8 o'clock Eastern time, you're going to have a massive amount of server, everyone joining on the server at that one time. The time they do it at the minute at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern time, is the load in America is a lot less. So therefore, they don't have like millions of people tuning in, causing problems. How we don't hear too much of problems when Disney launch new content because they pick a time when the servers are. The other streaming services do the same thing. Now I know HBO often gets brought up over the fact of they don't do it. The reason is they are still a linear network. They are putting out and they're only in the US. HBO Max pretty much only exists in the US, so therefore it's aimed at the US audience, and that platform is only in the US. Globally, there is never a good time to release it. Someone's going to get out of the bad time. If you released it at 8 p.m. Eastern, then what's that, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific time? That's not a good time either. There is no, and what good time for you is not a good time for anyone else. I personally, and as I mean, if it was to drop like 5 to 6 to 8 hours later, it wouldn't be a massive problem because it would be later in the evening. You've also got the other problem as well of launching it at that time that they do at the minute. It still means the date is the same for like Australia and New Zealand and like Asia. If you start pushing things back to like 8 p.m. like New York time, therefore, if they say like The Mandalorian's out on Wednesday on the 1st of March, suddenly then like there's a whole countries that are no longer getting it on the 1st, they're getting it on the 2nd. Look at like the Elton John show. So there are issues all the way around, and you've got to, I know a lot of people think like, well, it's a US service. 40-50 million people subscribe to it in the US. 110 million people subscribe to it outside of the US. So it's not just about, you're never going to please everybody, but primarily it's being done to, it means that Europe and the North American servers aren't getting smashed when that new content drops. And that's why other streaming services do it. It's the only, they are going to be doing something a little bit different with the new Miley Cyrus special coming out, I think, this coming week, but that might be to do with more with when the album drops. And they may be just doing a little bit of an experiment. So there are a lot of issues there for timing. It's like here, like Gary says, in Hong Kong, Disney Plus has been releasing new movies at Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. So that might just be the time zone. So that might be a bit of a time issue for them here. Let's see here what else we've got. Questions. So Tim says, love the Peter Pan and Wendy trailer. Why was there no trailer until this week? What are your thoughts on the trailer? We did talk about it on the podcast. It looks okay. I'm not a huge fan of Peter Pan. It looks okay. I'm going to give it a go. This question of like, why is you not done it? The movie's not coming out for another 2 months. What was it? Why would you? I mean, we actually saw some footage of it back at D23 last year. What would be the benefit of putting out a trailer a month ago or 6 weeks ago or 2 months ago? It doesn't come out until the end of April. So they put it out, 2 months before the movie comes out. I think that's a good enough time. I think if you go too far in advance, you just lose. I don't think there's a lot of point in going too late, too early or too late. I think within a month, I think after a month, it's a bit of a tricky. Kelly said CNBC reported that ESPN Plus could potentially stream regional broadcasts of sports in a non-exclusive format with RSNs in the US collapsing, and that the free leagues need to secure a new home. So I know there's a lot of stuff going on with sports networks right now, potentially. The big problem is really with television in the US that it was all built around with these sports of everyone on cable paid for sports, whether you wanted it or not. That's why it was so expensive. That's what. And so that's why Hulu Live TV is like $80-$90, where in reality, like for me, I'd be going like I could get like Sky New or Now TV Live or something like that, like $5-$10. But if I want to get the sports, I have to pay more for it. And I think the trouble is they've got used to being able to charge everybody for television. So even if you didn't watch sports, you're paying for it if you had cable. And as more and more people are leaving cable, it's costing more money. I think I've been seeing numbers of some of this, and one of the streamers was looking at, if you wanted to watch the local games, you're looking at about $30 to $40 a month, and people are going, "Whoa, it's too expensive." It's like, well, that's what it should cost, because the costs of the teams they're all making too much money based off a system that is collapsing. We're going to see a massive shift in the US with sports because sports rights are expensive. It's why we are not going to see sports included into Disney Plus. They're all going to be because ESPN Plus is probably going to have to go up to $20-25 when they start getting all this sports in. It's a very everything is collapsing because so many people have left cable, and everyone was paying for sports. It's why all the studios are less likely to give stuff up, because like Disney was getting paid to have ESPN. If you wanted cable, you had to pay for ESPN. Well, if it goes, Alex, there's a lot of stuff changing. Kelly said, I saw on YouTube someone sharing that what the latest Hotstar X UI looks like on Disney Plus, Hotstar India. Could we see an amalgamation of the two UIs when Disney Plus does a major UI update? I'm in the zone. I think they launched the cheaper version, like the Hotstar X, across like the Middle East and Africa and Asia, primarily because they're using a different system, different servers, lower technology. I think we are going to see some more merging of the stuff. I think we are going to see this, but I think it was primarily because a lot of them are locked into like low like telephone systems and mobile login. You have to use your mobile phone to log in rather than your email and stuff. So it's a little bit different. So I think we are going to see a change. I don't think we're going to see a big change in Disney Plus in the US until we get whatever's coming up with Hulu. I think that's going to be how that one works. Babak says, I see Disney Plus is adding more music-related things like live concerts and behind-the-scenes documentaries. What other music-related things could be added? I think live concerts, performances, like acoustic, like we used to like MTV Unplugged, documentaries, interviews. I think that's about it, really. I would maybe see. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we start seeing some music videos, but I think Disney seem to be doing quite well on this stuff, especially like with the Miley one coming up this week. Babak says, Disney is the only streaming service that doesn't have stand-up comedy. Do you think this is something that they will add at some point? Yes and no. They've done a few for FX. I think the problem is with humor right now is humor is a lot of it is controversial. And I don't think Disney really want to go anywhere near that. I think that we're going to see them going a lot more safer moving forward. I think they're going to try and go back into the middle a little bit. I don't think they're going to want to do like Netflix is doing. I like watching stand-up comedy myself. I'm going to go see Peter Kay later this month. I've got some tickets for a number of different comedy things. Comedy's tricky. It's cheap to make in some ways, but it can go, very tricky. Like I was watching like the Ricky Gervais ones. His kind of, and like the last night we had the Chris Rock one, which I know was getting a lot of attention. It can bring a lot of issues for Disney if they do this. So I don't think they're going to add it. I think they're going to stay away from that one. Connor says, do you think ESPN Plus will eventually offer more content from its linear networks? It's worthless to cord cutters if the events from the live channels aren't available going forward. If it were to be done with Disney, could it be create a soft bundle or eventually merge with Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu? I don't think we're going to see a merger. I could see Disney Plus having ESPN Plus as a bolt-on within it, and that's the new bundle, a bit like in Latin America, where it's like the Combi Plus. And maybe you can access ESPN Plus within Disney Plus. I think we are going to see that. But yeah, there'll be a bundle. Matt says, do you think they'll get the Incredible Hulk and Nemo back from Universal? There's a lot of talk this past week from Citibank, from an analyst, saying that maybe they could get the rights back, because while Disney have the rights to those characters to put them in like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, or Hulk, and they can't do a solo movie. And there was some restrictions like with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, for like what they could do marketing wise with Nemo. There's a limit to what they could do. They couldn't do it as much as what they would normally do. It's why you didn't see that many posters and stuff with the character. They have to be a little bit more careful. If I was doing a negotiation, I wouldn't be too worried about them. I mean, they could probably do solo movie with Incredible Hulk. That would be really good. I personally would just want to get the East Coast rights back to the Marvel for like Walt Disney World. Maybe try and get some of the other rights back, maybe like the Simpsons or something like that. It makes sense for them to play a little bit of game. Universal then can also try and offset, so they're not spending as much cash. You'd be a bit like, well, if you throw all this in, we can knock $2 billion off. Disney and Universal have done some stuff in the past. They traded a sports broadcaster for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. They have done stuff, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if there was some asset swaps. Lady Jennifer Snow says, with Disney Plus having difficulties getting any of their general entertainment shows to trend, what changes need to be made for non-Marvel and Star Wars shows to hit the zeitgeist? Make good ones. That would be the first. I think the trouble is, and I'm going to be honest with this, I think some of the, Willow was probably the best chance they had of having something that was a little bit different. But the trouble is, some of this stuff is very generic, a little bit safe, and what's happening is it's not really grabbing your attention. Like National Treasure: Edge of History was very bland. It was very generic. You could put that on any network, and it wouldn't matter if you changed the name on National Geographic on that National Treasure show. It could be on any. It could be called anything. It could be on the CW network. It could be anywhere. To break through now, you have to be really good, and I think we're probably more likely to start seeing maybe in the future when you have something like If Only Murders in the Building was on Disney Plus, that would have grabbed of attention. The Bear, they don't do massive numbers. I mean, but I think those shows probably could break through a little bit more if Disney got behind the marketing. I think also they've got to get behind the fact of giving some of these shows a little bit longer. You know, you look at like I was like today, I was strolling through like the platforms trying to find something to watch. So going through like Netflix and Amazon and things like this, and you're getting shows like Friends and Seinfeld and Big Bang Theory. The simple truth is they don't give any shows like that now chance to get to like 600-800 episodes because they cancel them after three seasons, and even then they might only have done like 20-25 episodes and then they're gone. You think of like some of these shows, they're into the 700-800 episodes. It's a lot. Let's jump now back into the live chat, see what we've got going on here. Let's see what we've got. Let's see where we are. There's a lot of questions here. So Babak says, if Disney doesn't sell Hulu but buy out Comcast share, do you think Hulu will vie for WWE? I don't think so. We've done that one. Do you think we'll get more live concerts on Disney Plus? Definitely. I definitely think they'll do that. Matt says, do you think they're going to add some more A&E content? I think so. I don't know if they've slowed down. I mean, seeing Dancing Mum is trending so much, I wonder if they may have put like a pause on some of this stuff while they sort out what they're doing in the US. No, we did that one. We did this one. Let's see where we go to. Matt says, I see some new Incredibles, some collections. Yeah, they're going to put some more collections in. Let's see here. Gary said I spoke to Kian Ping, the director of Mama Affair, the Hong Kong movie currently available streaming exclusively on Disney Plus this morning, and she didn't even know it was not on Disney Plus worldwide. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. Yeah, again, this is a total of the importance of physical media. I think it's always funny with this concept of physical media. And I will say this a lot as someone that has spent tens of thousands of dollars on VHS, Betamax, DVDs, Blu-rays, HD DVDs, 4K discs, Blu-rays, Laserdiscs, and CDs, and all these different kind of devices and stuff. This whole thing of like physical media. As you get older, you do start realizing that this stuff there are problems with physical media. I've had discs rot. I've had discs and the machines break. Physical media is not the be all. It is more, obviously they can't delete it. Someone can't come into your house and delete it, but there can be some problems with physical media as well. It's not perfect. And one of the big thing is I had so much. I literally, like this bookcase here, I probably could have filled up 3 of these. At one point I had like 5 bookcases just full of DVDs, just so many. And when you're moving house and you realize that we were unpacking boxes of DVDs that we have never. I've got a box downstairs because I kept my like Disney and Marvel and Star Wars DVDs and Blu-rays. They're still in the box that we moved in 3 years ago, and they're still taped up. So it is that kind of thing of like next time I move, they are going. I'm going to get rid of them. I probably could get rid of them now, but I probably won't. I'll keep. Yeah, there'll be that thing like, hold on, they've been there for like 5-10 years. Time to get rid of them. Matt says, I see a potential issue with Hulu being sold to Comcast. Is that the Disney-owned content on Hulu will probably be contracted to Hulu for. That is going to be. I think that is going to be the case. I wouldn't expect them just to be a flat, straight pull them off because Hulu's going to. If you were buying Hulu, wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want to keep Only Murders in the Building and like The Bear for at least a year or a little bit to kind of get people over? Matt said, I see the stuff listed for Friday never came out on Disney Plus in the US. I think there was a problem with finding Michael. There was a global issue. We were just waiting to find out what was going on with that one. But there's a couple of other things in the US that there seemed to be some problems last week. Luke, Kaylee says, I remember when Luke of Cord Cutting News said on his weekly videos that folks who are new to cord cutting essentially pay for live TV services, but gradually over time stick to on-demand services only. I mean, I do have Sky. I could get rid of it. I could have Freeview and just have the aerial shows for a lot of the stuff. I don't really need it. But I like having satellite television for watching, like, because I'm a lot older, so I'm still kind of used to how that works, and I keep it. But I think paying $80-$90 a month for like Hulu Live TV, you do question, like, why are you paying that much? Gary said, also check the March 2023 schedule for Disney Plus in Hong Kong. They've scaled back on the Saturday 9:30 movie premieres. Yeah, I didn't even realize that was happening, to be honest. This is why I tend to just focus on the 6 core countries, because I can't fit. I just trying to concentrate on what's Disney Plus in there, like 100+ countries. I can't, and also as well, if it's in if Cantonese or Mandarin, I'm not going to be able to read it. So then I got to translate it, and so it's very tricky, kind of trying to keep up with all of the stuff. Ricardo said, I found it amazing on India. Fox India Studios has totally rebranded as Star Studios and are using the same traditional intro and outro of the music of 20th century logos. Is it only that country that's happened? No. I did notice something the other day, and I'm going to bring up, because I spotted this on the UK press site. There was I'm going to bring this one up here. I'm just going to bring up this image here. So I don't know if you can see this here, but there's actually, here on the UK one, they're going to be releasing Selfie, or they released Selfie in cinemas here in the UK in February. And here we actually have the Star Studios logo right here. I don't know if I can bring it up a bit easier here. So it's actually, so they have been using it in other countries. So yeah, Kaylee says the Star Studios theme actually got rebranded to include Indian-based instrumental at the end. That makes sense. Literally, it was just before coming on. Rise of the Planet of the Apes had just come on. So they've been releasing movies. Ricardo says, do you think Disney Plus could release extended cuts of some movies in the future? You think they would have its own selection or just be added within? I think they're more likely just going to be with the added selection, because it gets a little bit tricky. C-Tan says, going back to what they said, if they sell Hulu, instead of the Star being a hub in the US, they might go separately like Star Plus in Latin America. I don't think so. I think in the US, if they're going to stay anything, they're going to keep as Hulu. That's been around for 15 years. It has got a lot of stuff. I think we are now getting into the zone where you're gonna, if Hulu's got the thing, it will be ESPN Plus and Disney Plus. I think they know running free platforms is not good, and Disney Plus does need that little bit more stuff to compete with other ones to offer more value and to become essential. There is a lot of adults that say they unsubscribe to Disney Plus when the Marvel and the Star Wars shows run out, because there's not enough other stuff on there. They are going to need that stuff. If you had things like How I Met Your Father and like Grey's Anatomy and stuff like that on there, Elementary, that keeps them engaged much more, and it will help. Barbara Trolling says, I think that Bob Iger meant someone has offered to buy Hulu for a good price, that they would take the offer. I think they probably would do. I think they probably will do. C-Tan, do you mean somebody other than Comcast? Well, there's been rumors that Fox might buy it. Comcast is obviously the lead one. There could be other people. Matt says, when do you think we'll get animes in the US on Disney Plus? Until they sort out what they're doing with their adult they've got to sort this problem out, and it could take another year to 18 months. Do not think it's going to happen overnight. They could make new announcements and stuff, but I think until they need to keep Hulu running. I mean, I think some of the anime might end up keep rolling on Hulu if not new contracts and stuff. Chuck said, read that Universal might sell the rights to Hulk and Nemo back to Marvel. What are your thoughts on this? If I was Disney, I'd be trying to get them back, because you could then release World War Hulk and you could make some money on it. make things more simpler. They've probably had some issues with, like I said, with Black Panther Wakanda Forever that they would like to not have the issues with. If they could do it to get the deal through, and Comcast has to pay a little bit less because they give them that rights back, it helps Comcast. Holding on to them right now, it doesn't really benefit them. They aren't stopping them from being able to use it, but I think the East Coast theme park rights are probably much more interesting. Kelly says, I remember someone mentioning downloading a Hotstar Beta APK. I was confused for a second because the majority of my smartphone users don't use iPhones. I think is APK. Is that just? I think that's the Android one, isn't it? I'm an iPhone person. So, Dana says, love Peter Kay, Jimmy Carr, and Ricky Gervais. Yeah, gonna go see Peter Kay later this month. I've seen Jimmy Carr live a few times. I'm gonna go see like Michael McIntyre and Sarah Millican, and so I've got a few shows coming up. Ricky Gervais, I do like him. I do think he's pretty cool. Let's jump back now into some of the other questions from before. Tim says Disney Plus Australia has not had any new releases of Raven's Home since episode 10. Again, the Disney Channel release schedule is all over the place, especially globally. It's hard to tell when anything's going to arrive. I'm hoping now with the restructuring that's going through right now, we are going to see some changes, but it takes time. And essentially now with these restructuring and the things, all the rules that we have had before are out the window now. Now we're going to be waiting for some new rules. You also asked whether with Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaurs didn't get released until March the 1st. Do you know why this was? I know we got it here in the UK on the same date. Again, the Disney Channel stuff doesn't seem to be doing the global rollout the same way. Mau says, what do you think of Dana Walden restructuring Disney General Entertainment and putting Nat Geo under FX? Right, coming up this week on our next week's podcast, me and James do talk about this in quite some depth. So I'm not going to go into full detail. I'll let you wait for the podcast next Saturday. So we did that. That was kind of the topic of the main topic of the episode. I think it's good. I think I would have gone a little bit deeper. I would have dumped Freeform completely. They've kind of side-ended that one. I think giving FX a bit more control is good. Maybe integrating it a bit more with Oxy. They seem to be very focused on that. Again, combination of Disney Channel with Disney Plus seems to be coming now. Essentially, they are the same platform, which I think is good. We're already seeing it already, and I think we're going to see more of this. I think it's good news. I think they needed it. I think we're at the point now where they're not fighting Disney Plus anymore. Now it's just they're becoming more platform agnostic, but it's going to take time. It feels horrible to say because we're here like year 3 or 4 now of Disney Plus, and we're still dealing with some problems from like linear that have just taken forever to sort out. But now we're in a restructuring phase, and we're going to have to wait and see. But just because of what they've done in the past doesn't mean they're going to change in the thought going forward. I am expecting some changes to release schedules and how they release and what they release. A new sheriff's in town, and we're going to have another one in a couple of years' time. So things might change again. So things keep moving around. Connor says, do you think it's a mistake on Disney's side if they sell Hulu without allowing some general entertainment on Disney Plus when the time comes? Maybe do some deals with ABC, Fox for same day. I think eventually the ABC and the FX stuff will be on Disney Plus in the US, the same as it is everywhere else once they've sorted Hulu out. But again, I think everyone's like taking Bob's words when he was talking about slowing down and being more selective. We're taking that almost like he's coming out of it, and it's like he didn't say it. He just said they were slowing down and being more picky. And that's the case of, if you've got 30 to 40 different shows you're making, well, maybe you only make 20 rather than 40. There's that. I think that's the kind of thing. Got a couple last 2 pre-done questions, and then we'll be live for the last 5-10 minutes. So feel free to keep sending in your live questions. So Tim said, with Nickelodeon's Kid Choice Awards done for 2023, could we see Disney do a version of the Kids' Choice Awards in the future? What are your thoughts on this? No. I don't see the point. I am at the point now, and I've got to do a couple of articles and stuff. I am so fed up of awards. It's just like every week there's been 5 or 10 different award ceremonies. The general public doesn't care. They might care about some of the big ones like Oscars and stuff. And I think Nickelodeon but Disney doesn't need to do this. I think that it's a lot of money. I don't think that the kids like award show is really going to work for today's kids the same way that it used to. I just don't. I think award shows, there's too many of them, and I think Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice is separate because it's voted for by kids and like people, and I think that's good. And you need a little bit of things. Um, all I can say is I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once this afternoon, and I know it's up for a lot of awards and it's got a lot of critical stuff. But oh my word, I like the action in it, but it keeps saying to me like every time there's like this one's been nominated for all these awards. Well, it's not going to be very. I'm probably not going to like it, but yeah, I think they really need to cut back on how many they're doing. And I don't think streaming live, people don't care the same way. You know, they used to get lots of ratings because there was nothing else on. You know, today's audience just isn't going to watch it. And Matt says, could we see shorter seasons or shows of TV instead of 20 to 25 episodes to cut the cost for Disney? They've already pretty much cut most shows. If you actually look at most shows now coming out, most of them are between 6 and 10 to 13 episodes. The days of doing 22, 24 episodes, they are very, very few far in between. First off, they cost more money. They tie up cast for much longer. Generally, one of the big reasons why like Hollywood stars and stuff wouldn't do television was that they couldn't afford to be like locked in for like doing like something like Grey's Anatomy for like 9 months of the year. You know, they with these new limited series, why we're getting a lot of actors and stuff doing it is because they can jump in, do it for a few months, and then move on to the next project. And especially with limited series, you're in and you're done and you're gone. And that's seemed to really appealed to Hollywood actors. Also, as well, the middle road movies and stuff have all kind of seemed to have drifted off at the box office. So it's the only way of making them. But generally, limited. It's how how we've had series for years, for decades, was short seasons. It does. I don't think we're ever going to go back to like long seasons again for most shows. Right. Okay, so let's now go into the live chat. So we're going to be live for the last 5 to 10 minutes. Let's see what we've got here. Right. Kaylee says, to answer Lady Jennifer Snow's questions, I'd say not only make good content, but bring in megastar like Tom Cruise or Can for a special. I don't think they can afford Tom Cruise. I think they just have to give out. I don't think a family-friendly show really works the same way that it used to. I mean, if you think of like Stranger Things as a family-friendly show that everyone could watch together, how many of those kind of shows have we seen in the last 5 years? That isn't Marvel or Star Wars. You know, most of the big like breakout shows like Squid Game or House of Dragon or The Last of Us, they're all actually generally aimed at a little bit older audiences. Trying to get a family together to watch a show, we don't really have a lot of that anymore. So I don't think that's how that one's going to work. Ricardo says it was supposed to be the Hulk rights were back to Marvel a couple of months ago this year by themselves. Apparently, Nemo will be back next year. I don't know why the agreement has to be made. Well, this agreement, the original agreements were made like before Disney bought Marvel. The trouble is with this whole stuff with like the rights of Marvel and of like Hulk and Nemo, we do not know what the real rights are. We haven't really kind of got that one. BK Dan says, saw rumors of a DH Harrison Ford showing up in Mando season 3. What do you think about this and what are the odds? Never tell me the odds, kid. Never tell me the odds. Yeah, I suppose so. I don't really want it. I think we need to keep Mando and that lot away. What benefit does it have? I know it will give a boost like Luke Skywalker, but I really don't think we need to step away from them. So Suna says, are we going to see some more ABC content? I hope we do. I think that would be a great way of doing it for Disney Plus. I think ABC content is probably a little bit more family friendly, so they could get it on there. Again, it's going to come down to this Hulu situation. But they are going to be, I think, going to be making less ABC content generally. I think we're going to see a lot of that one. Matt says, with the talk of Disney exploring the idea of licensing more of its stuff, do you think those licenses would be exclusive or done in a way to keep content on Disney Plus at the same time? I'd imagine some of it is going to be non-exclusive. Some of it might be exclusive for a limited period. I know they've been licensing stuff out to like Amazon, like here in the UK, like some movies and stuff are on, like literally like right now. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is on Channel 5 right now as I was just coming upstairs to record this. So they do still license stuff out. Not all of it is exclusive. There's also some advantages to say, like taking a show off that isn't currently on Disney Plus or Hulu, sell it to Amazon after kind of getting it all restored, make the money that the costs of it, and then put it on then after maybe it's done a year on Amazon and they've basically paid for it. So I think we are going to see some more licensing. I mentioned earlier, say Hulu was gone and they got all that content back, I wouldn't be at all surprised if something like Welcome to Chippendales and Pam and Tommy was licensed out to like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon as a way of kind of trimming down maybe some of the more extreme stuff. They could maybe even FX. The whole of the FX division just gets like put out somewhere separately. I don't want them to do that because I love the FX stuff. But if they are worried about the branding and they feel like it's a bit too mature, maybe that's one with. I wouldn't like to say. I wouldn't like to make a bet right now. It's all up in the air. They should add some shows like Hulu, like MODOK and Dope Sick. I think they should do, but I think it's going to be difficult. Barbara Trolling says, what do you think is going to happen to the entire movie industry in 10 years? It's going to be more tentpole, more big blockbusters, more franchises, more established stuff. I think we are going to see smaller movies going to cinema first before going to streaming, because it does. It's the kind of thing, if let's say Peter Pan and Wendy, if they put Peter Pan out in the cinema and it made 200, 300 million, or even 100 million, it's 100 million more than it got on Disney Plus. And Disney Plus has basically just become the straight to video. And the people are starting to look at it like straight to video. So there's more prestige putting it in cinema. So I think we are going to see it. I think more people are going to go back to cinemas. I think they're going to put out less. I think that will be a key thing. I think budgets are going to shrink. I think we're going to see a lot less big blockbusters. I think they're going to start, unless it's a well-established franchise, I don't think they're going to be taking pot shots on like building $200-300 million movies on new franchises without. I think that's the kind of for me. Matt says need to add more general entertainment movies from 20th century and Searchlight in the Disney Plus in the US. 100% agree on that one. Ryan says, what did you think of the new Nickelodeon logo? I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know what that one is. Jonathan says, why do you think they've delayed the Marvel show Secret Invasion? So Secret Invasion, they said spring. So spring is 1st of March to maybe, if you went to like the technical term, they probably could get through to like the 20th of June. So as long as it arrives in that period, that actually kind of falls into spring. So it's not, if it dropped, I think it's going to drop in May after Mandalorian ends. It's not actually late. It's actually fine. The thing is, the whole idea of them slowing down the releases for all the shows and delaying stuff. A couple of reasons: spread out the costs. Take 1 year's worth of content, spread it over 2 years. You're essentially getting 1 year's content for free. All the stuff you were going to release in 2024, you push back to 2025. It just saves money that way. If the writers' strike that's coming up does come into effect and it takes place for a couple of months, that is going to basically put like a pause on creating new content in the US. Internationally, you'd still be able to make some bits and pieces. So they're essentially, to me, also like saving up like Ironheart and a few ones in putting them back a little bit is going to mean that then they can keep us going. I think there is a Marvel fatigue and superhero fatigue with the general audience. I think the multiverse is confusing people. There's been too much out. I said right from last year that I felt 3-4 movies, 5 series, some specials and some animated stuff was too much. They're burning the audience out. By the time that Secret Invasion comes in, you might have not have sat and watched a Disney Plus, something on Disney Plus for Marvel since the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. I think it's good. I think it's like now. I think they should only do 2 Star Wars series this year. I personally would push back Skeleton Crew into next year and spread it out a little bit. Matt says, why is all the general entertainment going to Hulu and not Disney Plus? Contracts. They have to do it. If they're trying to sell Hulu, they can't be putting stuff onto Disney Plus And it's like anything. If you've got your car that you're trying to sell, and you've got your other car next to it, and you need to, you are going to need to keep the other car you want to sell or sort stuff out. You've got to keep them both running. They can't just pull. At the minute, if it's worth 20 odd billion, they've got to do something with it. It's an asset. It's like having two homes. If you're planning on doing it up to sell it, you can't just go in there and strip out all the light bulbs and all the fittings and put it in the other house and then try and go, well, you can't. You've got to keep it going. Gary says, wonder how long it's going to take for the Spider-Man movies to show up on Disney Plus. I just saw No Way Home Extended on Netflix recently. I spotted that too. I need to watch that one. I think it's going to be probably a few years before we do that. Kayla said FX Network is what the US network used to be in the late 20s with prestige programming. FX is still good, while the USA network has gone down massively. The only thing I know about the USA network was that it used to have Raw on it. That was the only thing I used to know about that one. Matt says, what did you think of the Peter Pan and Wendy trailer? I thought it was okay. Didn't think much of it that much. Kelly said, I don't see Disney Channel doing any award stuff since Nickelodeon does nominate Disney content, and it's a long time tradition. I think that's the key thing. It's been going around long enough that it can keep going. I think coming up with something brand new would be very difficult. Barbara Trolling says, do you think Warner will make DC movies for Netflix? No, because the reason is because Zaslav thinks DC movies have to be for box office and to make money. He wants DC movies to make money. He could make a show or something for Netflix as long as Netflix were paying for it. I don't think that's a problem, but I don't think he's going to make they're not going to make a Superman movie and put it onto Netflix. They're going to want to make some money off of it, and his focus is on making money. And Zaslav is very much against making movies for streaming. He wants to make money at the box office. So yeah, that's definitely it. Matt says, I heard the Wonder Years is coming to the summer on ABC. Yes, it has been pushed back to the summer in the US. I think that's right. Ryan says, when will Sky update the Nickelodeon logo? No idea on that one. I'm afraid I don't know. Matt says, speaking of Grey's Anatomy, how long do you think Disney can continue milking it now that Ellen is no longer around except for doing the voiceover? So I think the fact that she's doing the voiceover is good because that will keep the continuity going. Personally, and now I am somebody that's been watching Grey's Anatomy since the first episode. So I am someone that's been watching it for 19 years. And I'm sure there's some of you probably in the live chat and watching this that are not even 19 years old. So I'm at a point where the show needs to either move on. I personally I just feel like they should have ended it. They should have ended it. I feel like they should just move on. But it's such a juggernaut and so popular. It's still like one of the most popular shows. It's the #1 show here on Disney Plus here in the UK, like constantly. It is always in the trending chart. If I bring this up here, so here in the UK right now, literally Grey's Anatomy, #2 behind The Mandalorian. It is that popular. So that's why they're not going to stop it. So Matt said here, so with this one here, so Matt says, what do you think Disney went back to more popular movies like Toy Story, Zootopia, and Frozen? Money, money, and money. Those are the reasons. Gary says it's Disney. They can afford Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is not going to do television. First off, I think that. And I'm going to be honest. I don't really like. Tom Cruise plays the same character in every movie. I know. I didn't really see what everyone was so fascinated with Top Gun. It was just Star Wars. I'm just not a big fan of his. Matt says, does Disney own the rights to Howard the Duck? It owns Howard the Duck, the character. Doesn't own the movie. I think I can't remember off the top, but something like that. So Suna says, what will happen to Hulu after its sell of Hulu, Comcast, and give it to Disney? Well, that's one way. We really don't know. It's going to be very tricky to see what's happening. There are lots of predictions. Prediction A, Disney buy it and they keep the two as it is and just keep plowing it out and running the two systems separately. A second way could be merge the two together. Another way would be make Disney Plus its own, like make that the premium video on demand and make Hulu like live TV and fast service. Another way is just selling it onto another platform. There's lots of different ways it could go on that one. I think we're just going to have to wait for that. Ricardo says, Matt, Disney owns it. They just don't own the rights to the movie. Caleb says, I could see smaller budget films in theatrical, but smaller windows compared to major franchises. I remember when Jojo Rabbit was a limited release due to how small the budget is. I think we are probably going to be going back up to 90 days, 60 to 90 days for Disney releases. I think 45, they are going to have to detrain us from expecting movies like, Strange World and Encanto. I think doing that, I don't think they're going to do that for Wish this year. I don't think we're going to get Wish for Christmas. While it would give them a boost, it really cut into both the box office of both those films by doing that. I think we're going to see Elemental and Wish have longer runs at the cinema. I don't think they're going to rush them to Disney Plus the same way. Dana says, I think the Sony stuff isn't coming to Disney Plus now until the Hulu deal is done, when all the general entertainment stuff can come over. Yeah, that would make sense. Matt says, in May, the Fox from ABC look at the full schedule. What are your thoughts? Yeah, so they're going to be doing the upfronts take place in May, and that's when they usually kind of do the lineup of what's coming up over the summer and the full season. They basically get advertising. So I think we're going to see less, and I think we're going to see more sharing. I think that's a great way. It's like, you look at it now, like, say, like How I Met Your Father. They could be putting that out on one night a week on ABC. They could be putting out the Tiny Little Lie or Tiny Beautiful Things, which is coming up soon. They could put that out on ABC or FX. They could be putting out Saint X on both channels. I think we're going to see more of that. Dana says, do you think Disney will ever make a deal with Sony to get control over Spider-Man like they did in the past? I think if Sony gets paid enough, they might do. Matt says, so guess Grey's Anatomy is a case where creativity, it should end, but in terms of finances, it's too lucrative for Disney to let go of it. I think that's the case. Matt says, I mean, Avatar The Way of Water is already approaching 3 months of release, and there is no sign of it coming to... Well, that one's very different. I think, first off, James Cameron is not a big fan of... He's very much a theatrical person. It's making money. This movie is the 3rd biggest movie of all time. I think when it starts not making money, then it will come through. I think the days of 45 day are not going to happen. I think we're not going to see Ant-Man until like May, June. Matt says, is NYPD Blue on Disney Plus around the world? I believe, I'm pretty sure NYPD. Yes, NYPD Blue. There we go. So you can see here as it comes up. So here in the UK, we've got it. We've got what have we got there? 12 seasons of it. So yeah, so that one's available. Right. On that note, guys, thank you to everyone joining us live in the chat. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week with another episode. So thank you so much for your continued support. Yeah, just great to kind of join in. If you're a Patreon or YouTube channel member, keep a lookout for a post during the week for questions for next week's show. And on that, guys, thank you very much. And we shall see you guys soon. Later.